All right, welcome back again, guys. So this is going to be 6.2 of our notes, just a couple of the other issues that go along with the process of passing new laws. Okay, there's a couple other moving parts that go along the way. It's not all just clean, easy movements as far as bringing ideas to the Senate or the House, refining those ideas, bringing experts in, talking about it like nice, rational citizens, and passing it on if it's good and not passing it if it's not. There's a couple other things that go into this whole process that muddies it up a little bit. So first of all, those that control the process here are known as our congressional floor leaders. So there's the presiding officers that we've talked about, which is the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, or the President of the Senate, which is our Vice President, Joe Biden. Hopefully you've got that straight by now. I know the President of the Senate thing has been kind of screwing us up, but try to keep track of that. But along with those two guys, we have floor leaders from our two political parties. So in the House of Representatives, there's a leader of the Democrats and a leader of the Republicans. And then in the same thing in the Senate, a leader of the Democrats and a leader of the Republicans. So in the House, the leader of the Republican Party, you can see at the bottom there, Kevin McCarthy, and the Democrats is Nancy Pelosi. Nancy used to be the Speaker of the House when the Democrats had control. In the Senate, Harry Reid is the Republican leader. Mitch McConnell is the Democratic leader. They're elected each session, so that's once every year. Their party picks who they want to be their party leader, and they plan, along with the other floor leader, what issues they should be discussing. So they decide what's the most important. They decide on the order that it'll be discussed and debated. So they have a lot of power and influence as far as what laws are going to be coming forward. Remember, we said thousands of ideas come forward to become new laws, and only maybe 100 get passed every year. So these people deciding which order to talk about them in is a big deal. The majority leader is more important. They have more votes in the party, so they're going to have a little more impact as far as which ones go, because Republican floor leader, who has more Republicans in the House, is going to get more votes and likely to pass the laws that they want to pass. However, the parties still have to work together, plan when a bill will be introduced, plan the debate. They have assistants that are known as whips. They kind of connect the party members and the leader so they know what the party members are wanting to have discussed and passed. And they try to determine the votes that are going to go for and against. So they give the floor leaders an idea as far as how many people are going to vote yes and how many are going to vote no. So they're always prepared for what's going to happen, at least as best as they can. This idea of the filibuster that we just kind of glossed over quickly in the last section. So in the House, members can only speak for an hour, but in the Senate, you can speak as long as you want. So when a new idea for a law comes up, these new bills come up, a senator could try to kill it, that is, stop it before it's ever even voted on, by talking to the point that everybody else leaves and gives up their chance to vote. Because in these, not every person has to vote every time. You have to be present to vote. You have to vote a certain number of times every year, but on certain laws or in certain situations, maybe you're gone and you miss a vote. That can happen. A filibuster, you could stand up and talk for, say, 10, 12 hours about something. Everybody else gets bored of it. They have things they have to do, other meetings, they have to leave. And once they leave, they forfeit their chance to vote. Okay, we saw this happen recently, a really long one, where Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican, talked for 21 hours. Okay, that's incredible. There's some rules on this. You can't sit down, you can't eat or drink anything, and you can't go to the bathroom. Because if you do any of those, you forfeit your control of the floor and you lose your chance to speak. So imagine standing in one place. This is him right down here. This is Ted Cruz. Imagine him standing there and speaking nonstop for 21 hours without eating, drinking, going to the bathroom. That's incredible stamina and a lot of commitment. They generally stay on topic and argue their side's point to the point that everybody else eventually just gives up and leaves. Ted Cruz, he had some young kids. He actually, this was going on for a long time, and he had kind of gotten some publicity, so he was on TV while he was doing this at certain points. And he was able to speak to his kids right before they were going to bed. He read them some children's book, Green Eggs and Ham, which is one of his kids' favorite. So his kids were actually home watching him on TV speaking, and he was reading them stories as they're going to bed. That was kind of a cute little thing, actually. We've seen senators stand up and read out of the phone book, just read names and numbers to try to burn time. seen people read old recipes from their grandmothers. Anything you can do to stand up and speak and basically drive everybody else crazy to try to kill the bill. The only way this can be stopped is if the senator themselves give up the floor, or if there's a vote from the rest of the Senate to stop it. This is called a cloture. They need 3/5 of the vote, 60% of the Senate, to stop the filibuster, and this is going to force a final vote at that point. But again, 60% altogether is a difficult thing to do because likely you have half of the party that supports you standing up and doing this. Okay, the other big issue is the lobbyists and special interests. Special interest groups are people or companies that feel really strongly about a certain issue. Maybe it's agriculture, maybe it's military, maybe it's technology, businesses or something. They're going to hire people to speak to the Congress people, the representatives, to try to get them to vote a certain way. Large businesses or entire industries spend millions of dollars a year trying to do this, putting on big conferences and benefits to convince people to vote a certain way. This really messes with the process because lots of times when you follow how people are voting, if you follow the money, you see that there was some big business behind them that encouraged them to vote a certain way. Okay, this is a really confrontational thing in American politics these days because we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars from some companies to support something. The only rules being that you can't donate money or do special favors for a representative, but otherwise advertisements, putting on benefits, where they can fly out to maybe a fancy resort and listen to you speak for a while, that's all legal. Just here's a quick rundown of the biggest lobbyists in the past year. Okay, so this is just for the year 2013. You can see at the top, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce was the highest one by far. They support businesses in general. But you see groups about realty, so buying and selling property, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is a huge insurance one. Remember, the Obamacare has been a big issue, so insurance companies stepping in to try to influence votes. You can see why that would make sense if they're one of the top 5. And as you look down the list, here's Google. Okay, Google spent $9.5 million last year to try to influence representatives to vote a certain way. Boeing, airplane company, AT&T, telephone company, Verizon, a telephone company, General Electric, CVS, okay, the corner drugstore that you probably see around. And so these are companies that are spending their own money to try to influence votes a specific way. So it can change people's minds as far as doing what's the right thing at times, unfortunately. All right, that's where we'll be stopping for now. That's a couple other looks at the process of a bill of law that's important to hear, and that's the kind of stuff that gets discussed in the news occasionally, so it's good to be at least briefed on the background of that. Make sure to do the quiz along with this one. Fill out your notes. I know I went fairly quickly through a few of these slides that had a lot of information, so pause, rewind, go back, make sure that you get that down and have an understanding of how this whole process goes. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.